Welcome back to the All Sorts podcast, you guys on YouTube. And today we are going to be taking a deep dive into the series Amazing Stories.
Oh, I am so excited for this deep dive.
Yeah, me too. And especially because we have such a great expert here with us.
Well, Amazing Stories, it really was a cultural moment, and it brought the anthology format back,
Yeah.
from the golden age of radio and early television.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was curious about that. For those of us who don't really know, can you explain what the anthology format is and why maybe it was so successful back in the 80s?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So anthology, it's basically self-contained stories in each episode. So you're
Right.
not following the same characters. You're getting a brand new world every time and different genres and things like that. So it's like a surprise gift every week, What are we going to be watching this week?
And I feel like it was a great gift, especially because Steven Spielberg was attached to it. I mean, when I think of Amazing Stories, I think of him.
Yeah.
That blend of wonder and heart. Was his vision like a big part of the show's success?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Spielberg, he was already a Hollywood powerhouse. I mean, he had E.T. and Jaws. His name brought a lot of prestige and anticipation to the project.
It's funny you mentioned E.T. and Jaws because those both have like that. They have a little bit of fear, but then there's also that wonder and adventure. Did that carry over into Amazing Stories?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Spielberg, he loved to tap into those emotions, fear, wonder, joy. And he brought that to Amazing Stories. I mean, he wanted to create a show that could transport viewers to different worlds and really evoke a range of emotions and remind us of the power of storytelling.
And it's funny because he wasn't the only big name attached to the show. You had like Clint Eastwood, Martin Scorsese, Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I know, and that's the beauty of the anthology format is that it attracts a diverse group of filmmakers, and they each brought their unique style and vision to the project And so you have masters of suspense, you have comedic geniuses, you have visual storytellers, and they're all contributing to this tapestry of amazing stories.
Oh, wow. So it must have been really exciting for viewers because you never knew what you were going to get.
Exactly. Yeah, it kept the audiences on their toes, made it unpredictable and engaging.
Yeah.
One week you might be on a World War II battlefield, and the next week you're in a whimsical ghost story.
Oh, wow. Well, you mentioned some episodes I would love to hear more about, especially Ghost Train, because that sounds right up Spielberg's alley. What can you tell us about that one?
Ghost Train, oh, it's classic Spielberg. It taps into childhood fears and the power of imagination. It follows a man who was terrified as a child of this ghostly train that would pass by his house. And years later, that childhood fear comes back to haunt him. And it kind of blurs the lines between reality and nightmare.
Oh, wow. It's so interesting how those childhood fears just linger sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you have The Mission, which is, very different. Takes place during World War II.
Yes, The Mission, directed by Spielberg, and it really showcases his ability to handle these intense, dramatic narratives. And it tells the story of a B-17 bomber crew during a mission over Germany. And it really focuses on the ball turret gunner who gets trapped in his compartment after the planes hit. And so it's really claustrophobic and suspenseful.
Oh, my goodness.
About courage under fire.
Yeah, just thinking about that ball turret gunner trapped and his life's on the line. And I mean, it makes me think about Spielberg and his themes of resilience and like facing adversity.
Absolutely. It's definitely there in The Mission, this exploration of human strength and the will to survive, even in desperate circumstances. And it's a theme that really resonates with audiences,
Yeah.
Speaks to something about the human spirit. It's not all, big dramatic moments, though,
Yeah.
Amazing Stories also had these more intimate, character-driven stories.
Oh, for sure. And that's what I love about anthology shows. You get to see such a breadth of the human experience. Are there any other episodes that come to mind when you think about that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The Doll, for sure. Oh, that one's so good. It's written by Richard Matheson.
Oh, wow.
And directed by Phil Joannou. It's basically about this lonely widower who becomes attached to this lifelike doll. It's not really a horror story, though. It deals more with like loss and loneliness and the human need for connection.
Oh, and I can see how that would really connect with people who are going through, grief or isolation. And just reminds us that even when things are dark, there's still that flicker of hope and longing for connection.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what's so brilliant about Amazing Stories is that it balanced these fantastical elements with real human emotions. So, it's relatable. It's thought-provoking.
Yeah, it's like the show saying, hey, we're going to take you on this adventure, but we're also going to remind you what it means to be human.
Right, exactly. And that's why it still resonates with audiences today, because even though they're old, these stories, they still tap into those human experiences, that connect us all.
You mentioned earlier that the anthology format allowed for so many genres and styles. I mean, were there any episodes that went beyond just typical sci-fi and fantasy?
Oh, yeah, totally. Mummy Daddy.
Mummy Daddy.
Yeah. Directed by William Deere. It's basically about this mummy who breaks out of a museum so he can be with his wife because she's about to give birth.
Wait, so it's a mummy comedy?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a really good example of the show playing with genre conventions and subverting expectations, because you have this potentially scary figure,
right,
this mummy, put into this totally absurd and comedic situation.
It's like this show is kind of winking at you saying, yeah, we know this is a little crazy, but just come along for the ride.
Yeah, exactly. Just have some fun with it. It sounds like they had a lot of fun with that episode.
I bet. And that fun is infectious.
It is.
And it's like, hey, don't take things so seriously and embrace the absurdity of life,
Exactly. Yeah, find joy in the unexpected.
I mean, it's amazing how Amazing Stories packed so much into every episode. From the comedy to the suspense, the drama, the sci-fi. I mean, it really did cover it all.
I know it did. It's so rich and rewarding to revisit because there's always something new to discover and a different layer to uncover and a fresh perspective to gain.
It makes you wonder if the creators knew they were making something special. That would stick around,
It's hard to say, but I think they knew they were doing something unique and innovative. They pushed the boundaries of television storytelling, paved the way for future anthology series, inspired a new generation of filmmakers.
Speaking of innovation, I mean, what was the critical reception back then? Did people embrace this, all these different genres and styles?
The initial reception was a little mixed. I mean, it had a devoted following, but it didn't do as well as they thought it would. It seems like maybe audiences weren't ready for that type of storytelling, on primetime television.
Do you think it was ahead of its time? Maybe too experimental?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the 80s was a transition time for TV. And Amazing Stories was a pretty big departure from the sitcoms and dramas, that were all over the place. So might have taken some time for audiences to catch up.
And yet here we are still talking about it decades later.
Oh, it has, for sure. Amazing Stories, it's like, it's a cult classic now. Beloved by fans because of its creativity and its heart, and it was just so willing to take risks, and it continues to inspire and entertain. I mean, it's really a testament to the power of imagination and storytelling.
It's like it planted a seed in our imagination, and it's grown and blossomed and influenced other shows and films.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good way to put it. Amazing Stories was more than a TV show. It was a celebration of what it means to dream and to create and to find wonder in the everyday,
Speaking of wonder, one thing that always stands out to me is the music. The score is so evocative, and they add a whole other level of emotion to everything.
Oh, for sure. The music is so key to the atmosphere. And, Spielberg worked with these great composers, John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith, and they brought their own styles. Sometimes grand and sweeping, sometimes intimate and haunting. It just always fit.
It's like the music is another character in the story.
Yeah.
Guiding your emotions.
Exactly. Yeah. And think about Ghost Train. They use these eerie and suspenseful melodies, and it just heightens the tension, makes you feel uneasy.
Oh, totally. And then there's that theme song. So iconic. Composed by John Williams. So recognizable.
Oh, yeah. Pure Spielberg magic.
Yeah.
And it really, it captures the spirit of the show so well. Adventure and imagination and just inviting you to step into this world where anything is possible. It's like a musical invitation to dream and explore.
I mean, that's what makes Amazing Stories so great. It reminds you of the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
It can transport you. It can inspire you. It can make you feel connected to something bigger.
Yeah. It celebrates imagination and reminds us that even when things seem ordinary, there's always a little magic out there.
That's a great way to put it. Well, to all of our listeners out there, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Amazing Stories and that it's inspired you to maybe seek out those extraordinary moments in your own lives. And if you're looking for more incredible stories and deep dives, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the All Sorts podcast on YouTube and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future explorations. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Amazing Stories, so share your favorite episodes or your own experiences with Anthology series down in the comments below. And don't forget to connect with us on X, Instagram, and Threads for more behind-the-scenes content and updates on upcoming episodes. Until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep those amazing stories alive.